All right, on to topic number one. iPhone 15 specs have leaked. According to some leaked CAD files, it seems like the iPhone 15s, at least the base model, will be getting a larger screen. So it'll be moving from 6.1 inches to 6.2 inches. There's also leaked images of actual iPhones, and it shows that they will be getting a USB-C port. Seems like the base iPhones also, so the iPhone 15 and 15 Plus will be ditching the notch and will be getting a dynamic island. So the dynamic island will be on all four models of the upcoming iPhones. It also seems like the Pro models will be getting a new A17 chip, which is rumored to be built on TSMC's new 3 nanometer process. And there's also rumors the Pro models might get a periscope camera for the first time ever on an iPhone. But this might be limited to the iPhone 15 Pro Max. So there's been renders or been some actual iPhone image leaks and, a bunch of rumors that have come out. But from what you've heard, are you excited for the new iPhones? Do you think that USB-C change is actually happening, or are we still going to be stuck with Lightning for a little bit? Or are you excited for the new iPhones?
I'm not as excited for the new iPhones just because I thought the 14s were a little bit underwhelming. I thought they were cool, but just obviously the base model's not coming with a chip update, and the pill-shaped notch to me wasn't. I mean, it was well marketed, but even from the moment they showed it off, I thought it was kind of a weird idea. It didn't really hit for me. But the idea that that could be coming to the base models is cool nonetheless. I think that's a good idea considering the notch is old at this point and it's not necessary. The full on notch that the base models still have. We're at the point where, most phones out there have very minimal, front facing cameras and stuff like that. And they've already proved that there is the tech to minimize that notch and make it much more or much less invasive on the phone's design. Go ahead and do it. I think that's a great idea. I hope they bring that to the MacBooks. But when it comes to USB-C, I still think we're probably going to see Lightning on these phones, especially because a lot of the rumors in the past have stated that if they do bring USB-C to the iPhone, especially the base model iPhones, they're probably still going to be limited to USB 2 speeds, which is what Lightning is right now. And if that's something that they're going to do, I mean, I don't even know if it makes sense to bring USB-C to the phones before they're absolutely forced to. And they still have time. They're not forced to do it right now. So, go ahead with Lightning, get a little bit of that Apple certified product money for another year. But then at the same time, they're also working on changing that program, the Apple certified program, which if anyone doesn't know what that program is that if you want to buy an accessory for your iPhone, the made for iPhone kind of certification, a company essentially has to pay Apple for that certification so that if you get a cable, for example, a Lightning cable from a third party, it's licensed by Apple, which means that it's going to work properly with your phone. Obviously, that's not necessary. That's not really necessary. You could just cut open a Lightning cable and figure out how it's terminated and make your own. But it's just a little bit of added protection for customers to make sure that they're getting something that will actually work with their device. I think that's going to be even more useful with something like USB-C because there's so many different USB-C standards out there that it can get kind of confusing to find out what is going to work with your device, especially if Apple pulls a Nintendo and does a very custom version of a USB-C port where it's not necessarily regular USB-C or USB 3 or USB 4, but instead it's like a very stripped down version of it where, some cables might work and some cables might not. But for now, I still think they're going to stick with Lightning, maybe go to USB-C in the USB 6 or in the iPhone 16. But overall, yeah, I think it's a pretty... I mean, for the base models, it would be an interesting upgrade, but I think for all the other models, it might be a little bit boring. And I think we might see another year of people not being super excited about the iPhone again. But, I mean, for you, is there a particular feature either that is rumored now or that you think should come about on the iPhone 15 that would be a better option in terms of whether it's USB-C or something even that they haven't talked about that you think, oh, iPhones need this going forward?
So I'm actually sort of excited for this lineup, but I'm excited for the 15 Pros and more specifically the Pro Max lineup. Now, as you mentioned, if they do bring USB-C, probably the base models will get USB 2.0, even though it's, USB-C. So you think, okay, this is faster transfer speeds and all that. It's still rumored that they're going to keep the base models at the 2.0 standard, but the Pro models are supposed to get the faster transfer speeds, the faster charging speeds, all of that. So that's why, yes, I'm more excited for the Pro models. The display size, eh, not that big of a deal. I think the 6.1 inches is perfectly fine.
Mhm.
In terms of the CADs and the renders, it seems like the body's supposed to be slightly smaller, but then also the screen is supposed to be slightly bigger, which seems a bit conflicting to me. So I'm not sure which one to believe. But I think the size and the form factor that they are right now is perfect. So I really don't see the point of changing that. Although for the pros, there's rumors that the screen is supposed to be a little bit like slightly rounded over the edges, and
Mhm.
the edges are supposed to be a little bit curved also, so not as boxy of a design. Still, the general design that the 12, the 13, the 14 have been, but it's supposed to be a little bit easier to hold in your hand. And then another thing the pros are supposed to get. So the 15s are getting a bump up to A16, hooray. It's a year old chip, which wasn't even that much different than the A15. But the pros are supposed to get an A17 chip, which, as I mentioned, on the new 3 nanometer process for TSMC, this is supposed to be the first time, or not supposed to, this is the first time we're getting 3 nanometers in an iPhone,
Mhm.
right? There's some of the numbers we're getting are it's supposed to offer 15% more processing power with a power consumption reduction of 30%, which the iPhone 14s had pretty good battery life compared to other phones. So if we get more performance and we get better power consumption because we're going from 4 nanometers to 3 nanometers, I'm pretty excited for that. For the Pro models, once again, they're also supposed to be getting Wi-Fi 6E, like the M2 Pro and the M2 Max MacBooks got, which more of a future proofing thing, right? Like no one really has Wi-Fi 6E routers right now, not like that, but it's still good because your speed should theoretically be faster. But one thing that I'm really looking forward to is the Pro Max is supposed to get a telescoping or it's supposed to get a periscope lens. And only the Pro Max, not the 15 Pro, because people are saying that because of the size and the requirements for a periscope lens, it's only going to work on the bigger form factor phone,
Mhm.
which makes sense, right? When you look at what Samsung does, they only bring the periscope and lens to their Ultra device, which is their biggest one. So it makes sense, but we haven't seen a discrepancy between the Pros and the Pro Max since what, like the 12, I think,
Yeah.
because when they first went to the 12 Pro and the 12 Pro Max, the Pro Max had a better sensor. So it was technically a better camera, right? And then from the 13, the 14s, the Pros and the Pro Maxes were the identical phone, exact same phone, just one was slightly bigger, right? So there wasn't that much of a difference between, okay, the Pro Max and the Pro. It's really just what you prefer form factor wise. So now we're possibly, again, going to see a difference between, okay, the Pro Max truly is the absolute best Apple has to offer.
Mhm.
So if I look at things like, a 3 nanometer processor, a slightly newer design that's supposed to be easier to hold, easier to hold in your hand, and this periscope and lens, which is supposed to, I think currently the 14 Pro Max can go up to 3x optical zoom. The 15 Pro Max is supposed to go up to 6x optical zoom. So there's a lot of things for the 15 Pro Max that I'm excited for. The other phones, not so much. I mean, I'm sure the 15 Pro is going to be a great phone also, but I mean, yeah, dynamic island, very gimmicky. I don't really care that it's coming to the base models, but I'm excited to see the 15 Pro Max. This is, I mean, the dynamic island last year was sort of exciting, not really gimmicky as we said. But yeah, I'm looking forward to see what they come out with this September, especially if it's okay USB-C and like proper USB-C, so we get like 3.0 or 4.0 speeds, 3 nanometer processor, periscope and lens, Wi-Fi 6E, all that stuff. I'd be excited to see that from Apple. But what I'm not excited to see is, possibly a price increase,
Mhm.
right? So as we said, there's newer components, there's better components. So bringing the dynamic island to the base model, we could see a price increase. if we talk about, okay, a 3 nanometer chip for the first time, there's supposed to be an upgraded LiDAR scanner on the Pro models. Talk about that periscope lens. There's nothing confirmed yet. These are all rumors, but all of that stuff being added to their phones, I don't see them keeping their prices the same. I think for the past couple of years, they've kept the prices the same, right? They haven't raised the prices. All of these things, Wi-Fi 6E, all of these things sound like reasons for Apple to raise their price. So I'm definitely nervous about that. But other than that, I'm excited for the Pro Max, 15 Pro Max, everything else. Not too excited.
I mean, I'm going to be a little bit optimistic here. I'm going to say because they canceled the SE, I think the 15 and the 15 Max are going to get a price decrease.
Plus.
Yeah, sorry, the 15 and the 15 Plus will get a price decrease.
Yeah, there's only one Max.
Yes. But the Pro and the Pro Max, I think will get a price increase, and especially the Max. And the one thing I am worried about with the Max, with this new camera array, is we both talked about how we kind of like the Samsung model of kind of minimizing the cameras. Mm-hmm. Some of the rumors seem like there might be a gigantic camera bump on this 15 Pro Max. And I'm not going to lie, I think one thing Apple does really well is they make their phones look cool. They're especially the Pro devices, they have that shiny, metal rail and stuff like that, and cool colors and stuff like that. But I think if they have a giant camera bump on this, it could make the phone look a little bit ugly. And I wouldn't be surprised if that happens to the Pro Max. That being said, they also did that with the Apple Watch Ultra, but yet people still love that device. So maybe, who knows, maybe they can kind of copy that design a little bit. And even though it's more bulky and maybe not as elegant, they could probably still find a way to make it look cool to a lot of customers out there.
Yeah. Speaking of the Ultra, so the Ultra is made out of titanium. It's a titanium frame. There's also rumors that the Pro models will be switching from stainless steel to titanium, just like the Apple Watch Ultra. Now, I got to use the 14 Pro Max for a bit, and it's a heavy phone, especially coming from just a base 13. Pretty heavy phone. And I looked this up. So titanium provides the same amount of strength as stainless steel, but it's 40% the weight of stainless steel. So yeah, if they are making the switch, I think that's a great idea.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if it's going to have the same, shiny polish that stainless steel has. Probably not to the same extent. They'll find some way to polish it. But yeah, I definitely think that's another good thing that I'd be looking forward to if they switch to titanium instead of stainless steel, because Pro Max is a very hefty phone.
I mean, honestly, I think you kind of convinced me. I think I'm a little bit more interested in what's going to happen with these iPhone 15s, because maybe this could be, we see very little design changes in phones nowadays. There really isn't much you can change. But even small things like that, like changing the materials, is kind of exciting. So who knows? If that does turn out to be true, it would be kind of cool to see.
Yeah, it would be pretty cool. Before we get on to our next topic, actually, I just want to give us a little shout out. So I heard this stat the other day in a podcast. So apparently, if you make it over 3 episodes in a podcast, you're in the top 10% of podcasts.
Jeez.
Also, if you make it over 100 episodes, you're in the top 1% of podcasts. So, we're on this is episode 122 right now. So give us a little pat on the back. We're apparently in the top 1%. I couldn't fact check this anywhere, so I could just be talking out of my ass. But yeah, we've been pretty consistent over the years that we've been recording. So yeah, give us a little pat on the back. Thanks for all the listeners out there. Anything to say on that? I guess before we get started on the next topic.
I'll just say it's actually even a bit more than those episodes, because early on we did a bunch of bonus episodes as well. So
we did, yeah.
We're even more than the numbered episodes that we have, and that's kind of surprising. The 3 episode mark is apparently worse. I find that hard to believe.
Yeah, I couldn't fact check this, so I don't know if anyone listening out there can fact check it. Feel free to tweet at us.